Hi, this is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden. So I'm sitting here thinking about this conundrum that I'm in, where I'm going, I don't work for money. I don't work for money. And I'm going, well, what do you work for? And I'm just like sitting here on this. What do I work for? Why do I work? And I'm like, well, because I'm on a life journey and I learn and I educate and I got the universe. So I learn because that's what I do. I work to learn. I work for education. I work for learning. There you go. I work for learning. I work for learning. I need to write this down. I work for learning. And I'm trying to figure out why I'm having such a hard time wrapping my head around this. And something occurred to me. I'm currently building a course right now on skill building. This is not an easy task, and I will tell you why. Because articulating the order of operations of the right skills in the right order for optimum education and learning, there are so many skills that it's insurmountable. There are so many skills that it's overwhelming. So I'm going, all right, so grouping. I know grouping. I'm not new to problem solving. Of course you're going to do grouping. So I'm using the grouping skill. And I'm going, all right, so how do you do grouping? Well, I know how to do grouping. I'm trying to figure out what groups to build. And I'm trying to figure out the catalyst of all learning. The catalyst, well, this is not hard to do because Plato gave me that answer. The catalyst of the learning skills is learning. That's the first learning skill. You skip that one and you're fucked. Don't skip that one. You're fucked. You know why? Because if you skip the learning skill, you're going to have a teacher for the rest of your life. You're going to have Mrs. Penningroth standing next. I'm loving this. You're going to have Mrs. Penningroth with you at the grocery store, helping you make every decision for the rest of your life. You need Mrs. Penningroth. Listen to the name, Penningroth. This was not a pleasant person. She lived to her name, Penningroth. So if you don't learn how to learn, you got Mrs. Penningroth with you wherever you go. You get pregnant, well, Mrs. Penningroth's got to be there. You're in Lamaze class, you got to have Mrs. Penningroth. You're asked, will you marry me? You got to ask Mrs. Penningroth. I want to ask Mrs. Penningroth. Mrs. Penningroth was the name of my history teacher. She did not teach history. I mean, she tried to teach history. She did not teach history. She taught me that great ill will come to you should you choose bubblegum in her class. That's what I learned from Mrs. Penningroth. Don't chew bubblegum. That's what I learned from Mrs. Penningroth. I learned more from Mrs. Penningroth's posters than Mrs. Penningroth, only to find out that when Mrs. Penningroth left, she left her posters, which means those weren't even her posters. So if you don't learn the learning skill, you're going to have Mrs. Penningroth with you right up until the day you die. The learning skill is so important. And ironically, it's the one that we all miss, which is why you need Mrs. Penningroth. Now, which is why most of us have really shitty lives, is because we don't have Mrs. Penningroth or the learning skill. So you gotta choose the learning skill or Mrs. Penningroth. God, what a great name. You need to write a book and put that Miss Lester Letchworth and Mrs. Penningroth. One day I will actually write this book. I gotta write this down just a minute. Lester Letchworth. Lester Letchworth and Mrs. Penningroth. Well, I got two characters now for that book. I have no idea what's going on in this book, but my God, these names. I came up with the name Lester Letchworth 15 years ago when I first heard Letchworth State Park in New York State. And I went, Letchworth, Letchworth, sounds lecherous, Letchworth. And then the one time I finally made it up there, it was a very lecherous journey to Letchworth. When I finally made it to Letchworth, the whole time, it was a 4-hour drive, the whole time, Lester Letchworth. He needs a first name. It'll be Lester Letchworth. Lecherous, the lecherous Lester. Oh, we got more here. It's going to be the lecherous Lester Letchworth. Oh, yeah, say that 10 times fast. That was in the year, what year did we go and have the Racoon Fest? My daughter's like, I don't know what year that was. We had a Racoon Fest. That was an idea. I learned so much about raccoons that year. I will tell you about Letchworth. So 4-hour drive. I'm finally making it to Letchworth State Park. I think it was 2018. Letchworth. And the whole time there, I'm like, no, I got to give this man a first name, Lester Letchworth, and he's lecherous. The lecherous Lester Letchworth. So we get there, and I go in to check in the camping area, and there is a sign that says, beware of the raccoons. This sign was an understatement. You have no idea. I learned so much. And I'm like, beware the raccoons. Really? Okay. So we get to our campsite, and we got there so late that we did not get the campfire built and the camp set up until 9 o'clock at night. So we're sitting there cooking on the campfire when these big meaty eyes are suddenly standing right next to me like a pet cat. Not in the distance far off, no, right next to me. And I looked down and I'm like, what the hell is that? And it was a raccoon. We are talking so bold, like, hi, I'm now at your camp. And I'm like, what the fuck is this thing? He was no inhibition. This thing was like, I was born and raised by humans. And he sat next to me and I'm like, wildlife. I have never seen wildlife so tame before. So it was very startling. And my then husband was like, you got to make sure you lock up. Raccoons will get into everything. I did not know what they were capable of. Did you know they have opposable thumbs? They have opposable thumbs. I did not know this. Apparently, when you take the brain of a raccoon, which is equivalent to the brain of a cat, and you combine it with opposable thumbs, you learn why cats don't have opposable thumbs. I learned so much about raccoons that day. So he's like, make sure you lock up. I'll lock up. So here I am locking up. I close the cooler door and I do the little latches. That's it. I closed up. I went to bed. I took the tablecloth and I draped it over the food, thinking this will be enough. An hour later, my then husband wakes up and he's screaming. I'm like, what's wrong? There are 30. There are 30 of them. What? 30. So I get out there and there are 30 raccoons. There are 60 beady eyes. But we're not done yet. No, they decided to call the skunk clan. And where they had over 60, it was like a horde. And that's not all. Apparently, their opposable thumbs allow them to figure out the logic of the contraption on the thing. So they've got our cooler wide open and they're just like carrying around our bacon. They're walking around on their hind ends like people. Did you know they do this? So then my then ex, he picks up a stick and he tries to chase them away. And one of them has got a grocery bag, the whole fucking grocery bag, with my marshmallows. It's now 2 p.m. and it's running on its hind legs like, and my ex is like punching them and kicking them and they're flying, not really flying everywhere, but they should have been. And these things are so fucking smart. And he's like, I told you to lock up. And I'm like, I did. They have opposable thumbs. They do. I mean, I know they did, but I didn't realize they were that smart. Apparently, when you develop the logic skill, you get opposable thumbs. Nature's wonderful. So this raccoon's got the whole grocery bag. I mean, he's like this, and he's running off on his hind legs like, look at me, I'm a little toddler. And as my husband closes in, he throws the garbage bag at my husband, puts the marshmallow bag in his mouth, and he bolts off on 4 legs. And I'm like, dude, never underestimate the raccoons. So I'm looking at the sign now. All I could think of was that sign in the cabin when you first get there to sign in, beware the raccoons. And I'm like, dude, I left that night. It was 3 a.m., 2 a.m. There was I left. I grabbed my kids and I left. That was the end. Oh, we were done. So that was my experience. And they ate my bacon. I mean, I was not a vegetarian at that time. I was, but it's complicated. And they had gotten the bacon out and they had decided to eat it raw. So it was like half eaten. Like, it was extraordinary. I'm like, wow. Yeah. So that was Letchworth State Park. Beware the raccoons. So Lester Letchworth, Mrs. Pennygroth, and the learning skill. That was the day I learned the power of opposable thumbs and the capacity of raccoons. They are smart fuckers. So if you do not have, Mrs. Pennygroth was not there. Had she been there, that never would have happened because I didn't have the learning skill. So the moral of the story is, make sure you always have Mrs. Pennygroth with you or the learning skill. Problem solving is literally like the be-all, end-all of the human experience. And it's funny because I remember being in school and being told, you're going to have problems. Life is all about problems. There's no such thing as no problems. Excuse me. Problem prevention. That's a skill. Problem prevention, like fire prevention. That's like walking around going, you're going to have fire. There's going to be fire all over the place all the time. Get used to it. It's called fire. And then fire prevention came along and there's a lot less fires. Imagine that. Well, problem solving is the same way. If you have problem solving and then you evolve it to problem prevention, that's what I teach people. Problem prevention, suddenly that's all gone. So I'm sitting here on my ass thinking about, this is my life. And I love my life so much. I fucking love my life. I love my life so much. My life and I, we have a symbiotic relationship. I love my life. I love my life so much that every time anything else happens outside of my life, I'm like, what are you doing? You're spending time with my life. I have these conversations. Every time I got a job, I'm like, my God, it's so inconvenient. It is. Aren't jobs inconvenient? And that's when I got to think. One of the things you learn when you learn the life skill, when you learn the learning skill, is 2 things. It's called, ready? Practical learning. Practical. I'm going to talk to you about the word practical. It is spelled Practic. Well, I just started to write particle. Just give me a minute. I got to get out of physics. Practical. Okay, I see where I messed up now. Yeah, my brain went over to participle. So practical. Yeah, not particle, practical. So Practical. Practical. I'm going to give you another word. Practice. That one's spelled Practice. The words are almost identical. This was not an accident. It was done on purpose. Practical and practice. When you work on a life skill, they have to be both practical and practice. If it's not practical, you're not going to learn it. Now, practical means inside your life. Impractical means you got to pause life to go do that stupid shit. That's not practical. That's impractical. It's the opposite of practice. Now, this is really, really important. Let's take a look at the exercise skill. Now, the exercise skill is really, really impractical. Now, some people have figured out a way to work it into their life, but if you have not figured out a way to work exercise into your life, you're going to be screwed and unhealthy. So going to the gym is impractical. That's why people usually go once a year to get a subscription and never again, because it's impractical. Getting a treadmill for your home is actually impractical because you have to stop what you're doing to stand on a treadmill. Now, this is where a few of us got, like, we figured out practical things like, I love reading a book. I love staring out the window in my thinking spot. So I'm going to put the treadmill in my thinking spot. That's a real genius idea. Actually, maybe I will do that. I will get a treadmill and I will put it in my thinking spot. That way, every time I think, I will just stand on the treadmill and I will walk. What my daughter's like, no, 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 I don't want a treadmill on your thinking spot because your thinking spot is in the way of my gaming spot. And that's really what she's thinking. So, but that's it though. You got to make it work so it's compatible in your life. Otherwise, you have to pause life, get out of your life, go do something you don't really like because it's not part of your life. Again, a symbiotic relationship with your life. Now, if you have a shit life, then it's like, oh my God, I can't wait to get to the gym so I can get away from this shit life. Or you really love the gym. See, I'm all about the home gym, but I've done the dojo thing, and I've also done, I love gyms. I love gyms. I'm that person. I'm that person. No, I'm not. I had a 30-foot swimming pool all to myself. I'm that person. That's who I was. Then when I got to New York, it was like, yes, I found like the largest gym. It has everything. It has a wall climbing in it, tennis courts, swimming pool, and it's all mine. But then they tell me I have to leave after 30 minutes in the swimming pool. And I'm like, this isn't mine. No, 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 no. This isn't going to work for me. So you have to make sure that whatever skill you are practicing actually is integrated into your life, on your life journey. So I'm sitting here thinking about my life journey and I'm going, what do I work for? I don't work for money. That's ridiculous. What the fuck is that shit? I do not work for money. I work for education. I work for learning. I work for teaching. I work for education. Like, that's it. That's what I've always done. I've been doing this since I was 4 years old. I don't know how to do anything else. I can't do anything without pondering it and going, what do you think this is in relationship to the dichotomy of good and evil? And how do you think it implies my own self-worth and self-value? Anna, I just wanted to know what kind of a sandwich you wanted. Oh, avocado. Like, that's the kind of shit. Like, I can't do anything without contemplating the deeper meaning of it. So this is my life and I love it so much. I can't get away from it. Every time I think about stepping away from it, like the concept, like, so I'm going, all right, so how do you make money? How do you monetize this? And that's the question. How do you monetize literally the things you love to do in your life? And once I realized this, I'm like, oh, every time I think about monetizing, I'm thinking about going off of my life path. I don't want to leave my life path. I have the best fucking life path there is. I have the best life path. I don't want to, and this is my problem. Well, we're going to call it something different. This is my challenge. This is my challenge. My challenge is trying to figure out how to do what I love to do and monetize it from my spot. And my spot is my learning journey. Like, you get, so imagine I am on a ship. Maybe you are this way too. If you are this way too, great. You have your own ship. I am on my ship. You are on your ship. And we are on a life journey. And life is fucking awesome on our life journey. We're pirates. We're in the open seas. We're going God knows where. Woo-hoo! And then someone comes along and says, you need to put that ship down and come to work. Excuse you. No, I'm sailing here. Get it. Sail back. Put the wheel port. No, no, I got to make progress. So I love podcasting. Podcasting allows me to do the shit I need to do while I think about the shit I need to do while I do the shit that I love to do all at the same time. And there you go. That's the secret to life, people. That's the secret to life. So I have a learning ship. I have a learning ship. Yes, I have a learning ship. I love my learning ship. So my learning ship, there you go. That's it. That is the be all and all of my life. I am on a learning ship. Now, I love the idea of traveling, but I got a laptop. I got to take my learning ship with me. So I see me now in the airplane, settling down, going to Paris somewhere and going, all right, people, I'm on the learning ship now. And we're going to set sail in a minute now via the airplane to Paris. I'll see you on the other side. And then I would probably journal and document my entire journey there. And then I would talk. I remember the one time I was on this airplane. It's the first time I was on an airplane. I sat down, I buckled up, and the news was on, and it was talking about how an airplane had crashed. And I'm like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. And I'm thinking, did anyone do this on purpose? Is this a joke? And it was not a joke. An airplane had just crashed, and they were covering the footage of this downed airplane just as I sat my ass down on my very first plane ride. It made me very uneasy. Up to that point, I was thinking about how velocity could crush my eyeballs as the airplane went from 0 to 800 miles an hour in 2.2 seconds. And I was thinking, wow, won't that kind of velocity like crush my body? You know, I was thinking about the physics of takeoff. I was not thinking about the airplane falling. No, that physics makes too much sense. That's not my worry, because that's where the physics makes sense. I was worried about the velocity crushing my body from takeoff. That's what I was worried about. Velocity. That scares the shit. Acceleration. That's what scared me. I'm just going, all right. And then sure enough, I felt the airplane pick up and it started to move, and I felt the eyeballs just start to sink into the back of my head. And I'm going, yes, I'm going to be crushed to death because of velocity. The human being is not supposed to accelerate this fast, this quickly in 2.2 seconds. Those were the worries I had until I sat down and I watched that video, and it was like, this plane crashed to the, and I'm just like, it was not a relaxing plane ride. So I see, like, I'm thinking about public speaking, and I'm like, the problem is, I love teaching. I love teaching. I just got to figure out how to do it. So I have figured out how to do it well. I know how to teach. That's not my problem. My problem is figuring out how. Like, I got the podcast. The podcast is fucking fantastic. I love the podcast. The podcast and I are going to be together for a very long time. So I got the podcast. I got my blog. Love my blog. Yeah, and I got my courses. Oh my God, do I love doing my courses. I love my courses night and day and night. I love sitting down and talking to people. And that's the part where it's the live stuff. It's the live stuff. I love doing the one-on-ones. But what I really love to do is the whole group discussions. That's really what I want to do more than anything, is the whole philosophical discussion of, let's all sit down around the philosopher's fountain and talk about life, the meaning of everything. What do you want? I got an idea jar. And I pull the idea jar open over and I take a look at it and I open it up and I'm like, ooh, that's the kind of stuff I would love to do. I can do that. I can definitely do that. And I love doing my newsletters. I love doing my newsletters. I love doing my social media posts. I love talking to people. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. So these are, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm looking at. And I realized the concept of public speaking. I could do public speaking so long as I'm virtual and it's convenient. Like, that's it right there, is it's got to be convenient. And that's really the key. I think that's the problem with the workplace, is we want convenience. It's like, excuse you, you want me to actually pause my life? I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat. I need to pee. I'm not going to ask permission. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm tired. I'm going to take a nap. Sorry, but my work. So, and this is it, these are my needs. This is my mental health. And this is my family. And this is where the job is. Like, the job and the career is here. This is my needs, my meanness, and my family, and the career is here. But we live in a culture where the career thinks it's up here. Well, the job thinks it's up here. And it's like, no, you are not up there. You are not the ultimate authority of my life. Let's say this together. Let's all say this together. Job, you are not the authority of my life. Money is not the authority of my life. I, as in you, are the authority of my life, your life. And that's really, like, once you start to realize the order of priorities, and that's it. It's your prioritizing. This is prioritizing skill. This is the prioritizing skill. Prioritizing is absolutely, see, they did not teach us the prioritizing skill. You know why? Had they taught us the prioritizing skill, we would have been like, oh, prioritizing. Well, you know, it's not my priority to go to gym class 5 days a week. That's not a priority to me. That's why they don't teach you the priority scale. Because if they did, you would be assessing your priorities going, My daughter had this problem. My daughter walked to school, what was it, 20 or 40 minutes a day. 40 minutes a day, in addition to gym class. Now, her gym class was the last period of the day. So she would have to do an hour of gym class and 40 minutes of walking. And it's like, so she'd be in gym class and they would make her run laps for 45 minutes. And then she'd have to walk home. And I'm like, pretty sure they're done. What about the kids on the school bus? I mean, that makes sense, kind of. But, and then I remember one of my dear friends, in high school, she took a ballet class. And they had her doing ballet and gym. And I was just like, the dumbest thing in the world is gym class. It really is. Like, see, this is where the Greeks had this all figured out. They really had this figured out. The way they categorized society in the Roman era was just amazing. They had something for everyone, a comedy tonight. It was wonderful. And it was just like, it was an epicenter of everything. I mean, it was epicenter of education. That's what it is. But if you weren't going to be an athlete, then you did not have to go and study shit. And they knew to embed the practicality of something. This is something that New Yorkers absolutely understand. And this is actually a common conversation. This is one of the most common conversations we have in New York City. The first one is, what pizza are we going to eat tonight? The second conversation that we have in New York City all the time is, how long is it going to take us to get there? It's going to take us 30 minutes to get there. What if we take the subway? 30 minutes. So 30 minutes to sit on the train or 30 minutes to walk there. You know, if we take this route, it would take us 35 minutes on the subway. So do I want to take the train or do I just want to walk there? In almost every case, it's just faster to walk. You actually walk to the speed of the subway. Literally, that is the walking pace in New York City. The pace of a subway, of the train. We walk as fast as the train flies in New York City. Hey, we do too. That's exactly what we do. We walk as fast as the train flies. So yeah, I mean, there you go. It's a 35-minute walk. So in most cases, we choose to walk. In almost every case, we choose to walk. It was so funny. We were watching Fringe. We were watching Fringe, and they're in California. And one of the dudes there was like, what is the one thing every New Yorker knows or notices about California? Now, I've never been to California, and I said, the pizza. And she said, the pizza. And he said, aside from the pizza. And she went, everybody drives. And I went, everybody drives? That's so weird. Yeah, I'm a New Yorker. Everybody drives. Yeah, I know, right? Everybody drives. It's so weird. They drive everywhere, which now explains that moment in the movie Toy Story. When they're in LA and Wayne Knight gets in his car and says, I can't believe I have to drive all the way to work on a Saturday, all the way to work. And he drives across the street and parks his car. That now makes sense. That's California humor, it must be. See, I didn't get it. I'm just like, okay, like it was right next, but now I understand the bigger humor of that was welcome to California. So that was like a whole, yeah, that's California. See, I completely missed that until now. This is why you got to know shit. The learning skill. Beware the raccoons. So the prioritizing skill. As soon as you have the prioritizing skill done, you're good. For learn, prioritize. Oh, and the quality skill, or else you'll be fucked. You want the quality skill. That's going up there. The quality skill. So the quality skill. Now this is something that I've been trying to figure out is, in what order of operations do I do this? Learning is first. Learning is absolutely first. And in fact, I have the theory of learning, but then I think I go right into the quality skill. And the reason why is this. Yeah, I'm going to have to take from two of my masters, because the very first class, before they even said anything, we're going to talk about quality. And I'd known that lecture because that was my second time going through it. Everybody is here. I'm up here. You're going to come up to my standards. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go up to those standards. What's that's going to look like? And learning the quality scale is, this is the most amazing lesson. It really, truly is. Of all the lessons I have learned in all of my life, if I had to take away all of the skills that I have learned, Quality, quality, quality. Because it was the quality skill that made me look at the US government and go, I don't think you're qualified to do the job of teaching me. So I fired them because of quality, because they're not qualified. See, quality and qualified. And that's really what's missing from our culture, is the quality skill. This is like probably the biggest thing. Is it's extraordinary to me, because when you sit down and you study the quality skill and you learn it, it does not take long to learn. It's you got to set your standard. You've got to set your standard. If you bypass this process, you will be hitting way below the belt your whole life. And then Mufasa's going to come to you in your sleep and be like, you are more than you have become. So you've got to learn the quality skill, or else. Yeah. Because you know when you are hitting below the belt. You know it. Raise those standards. 'Tis the only way. Yes. The quality skill. Yeah, the quality skill is, I was just about to say, some dumb asshole decided to teach my daughter the quality skill. That would be me. And now every time I give her food, she's like, this isn't up to my standards. No, you're right. I decided to move her to New York City. She's tasted real food. And now she's like, I can't live anywhere else. Maybe Paris. Maybe I'll live in Paris, where they also know how to make good food. Yes, that's right. Yep. So then I'll make a sandwich, and I'll give her the sandwich, and she'll like critique the quality of the sandwich. I did teach you the quality skill too well. And then there's Minecraft. See, I look at this game and I think things like, I remember King's Quest from the 80s, and it was the best thing in the world because it was just a video game, which was so weird and amazing. And we didn't care if everything was pixelated. It was cool, and I love geometry, so yay. But then here I am in 2024, and I'm looking at things like Minecraft going, haven't we evolved? Can we just take a moment and say that? What's going on with Minecraft? Haven't we evolved? What is with all the pixels? And I feel like it's the elephant in the room with Minecraft. It's Minecraft's elephant in the room. Like, do you think when they did demo day at the gaming convention and they did the whole, we got a new game idea, man. It's called Minecraft. Do you think anyone in that press room went, excuse me, what's up with the pixels? Like, did anyone say that? That's the cut. What, Dan? 2011. Did anyone talk about the pixels? It's a solo developer? Oh, dude. One dude did that? Okay, no, I am now fucking impressed. Kudos, man. Kudos. Fuck damn. No, that's kudos. See, at Sims. Oh yeah, at Sims, there's a team. There is a team at Sims. Wow, one dude did all of that. He must be a billionaire now. My children play, yeah, and my daughter's like, yup. And I'm like, dude, one developer. That is fuck impressive. Now that explains the pixel thing. I'm like, I don't understand it. I don't understand. And now that makes sense. That makes so much more sense, because it takes a team to build Sims. I've been a simmer since 1999. I know this shit. Learning skill. The learning skill is actually a compilation of many other skills. And this is one of the things you learn in the learning skill, is the integration of all. So integration is actually, if I were to take everything that I have, I would really summarize it down to the word integration. And this, I can do a whole talk just on what integration is. In fact, I'm probably going to do that in a minute, because integration it's something that a lot of people don't understand. But here's the thing. The only reason why I know about it is because that is the cure to multiple personality disorder. I had to figure out the actual formula for integration. And when I learned it, I was like, whoa, I got to integrate everything. And I did. I integrated everything. I integrated me. I integrated my life. I integrated all of my personalities. I integrated all of the parts of myself that I was opposed to. I integrated the universe. I integrated everything. Suddenly everything just got integrated. And I started applying this integration formula to everything. It's 1 + 1 = synergy plus a greater whole. And I was like, wow. And suddenly, and it truly was this understanding of once you get the integration skill, you can't stop. Everything has to get integrated. You all of a sudden realize, whoa, did you know that all the academic disciplines need to be integrated? And you start integrating that shit and you go, whoa, look what I found, power economics. And then you integrate literally everything in your life. And the more you integrate, the more you realize how much everything has disintegrated in our culture. And that's really it. That is really, if I were to sit down and just lecture on something for the rest of my life, it would be integration versus disintegration. Love is integration. Fear is disintegration. That's it. It's just the dichotomy of integration and disintegration. And if you're not integrating, you're disintegrating. And that's the way it is. But even in mathematics, we're not taught that. We're taught that 1 + 1 = 2. That's not an integration. That is 1 pen and 1 pen. Now you've got 2 pens, but they're not integrated. We're not even thinking about it. I had to invent a new mathematics just to show integration in mathematics. A parent is a singular. 2 parents, 2 people make up 1 parent. That's what a lot of people don't know. That's why parenting is all fucked up. Is because you're supposed to integrate both people into 1 parent. You are supposed to become so integrated in your parenting that you are 1 unit. You are a union. And if you are less than a union, you are divided and then you cannot stand. That is disintegration. So you've got a person and a person, and if they're not integrated so beautifully, so succinctly, like synchronized dancers, you got to become 1. You are so much a team. They say that there is no I in team. Oh, yes, there is. There is an I in team, and the I is made up of the integrated parts of all of the team. You have to integrate. There is very much an I in team. It is the integration 1 of the whole that becomes when you have a team. That is what true professional teammanships and team athletes figure out. Is that you have to integrate your skills so perfectly that you become 1 greater whole. Because when you become 1 greater whole, you get synergy. And it's amazing. It's absolutely powerful. The moral of the story is, beware the raccoons. Beware the raccoons. And either have the learning skill or Mrs. Pennygirl. If you are ready to set off the next action in this chain reaction, click on the link below. Thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.